Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, this new Bitcoin chart is potentially revealing where the bottom for this correction is about to come into play. Definitely stick around to the end of this video to not miss out on this chart, because so far it has been incredibly accurate. And just before we jump into it, make sure to leave a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But with all of that out of the way, let's get straight into what this video is about. So right here, we're going to start off on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame, just to give you a quick update on that bullish divergence that I talked about yesterday on the channel right here, saying that it's very likely we could have reduced selling pressure in the immediate short term with either a bit of a sideways consolidation or a slight bounce back to the upside in the shorter term, and that's exactly what we are seeing right now. So while the 4-hour RSI is still trending to the upside, technically speaking, making these higher lows on the chart, then this is still providing hope for the bulls out there, because when this is happening, that means the bears are losing momentum. And now zooming out to the daily time frame for Bitcoin, just to give you a quick update on this trend line that I mentioned yesterday on the channel once again. This line is simply drawn between these two lows on the Bitcoin charts, and keep in mind we're on the logarithmic scale right here, but as you can see, Bitcoin is currently coming into contact with this very important line of support, and at the moment this line of support is coming in at around $53,500 US dollars. So for as long as Bitcoin is remaining above around 53k, we're still looking really good here on the larger time frames. As I mentioned yesterday on the channel, we only really start flipping more bearish again if we start breaking well below 53k, especially on this chart just here, because that is this previous high on the chart. And also, once again, that would mean that Bitcoin would be breaking below this upwards trending line of support. And speaking of important lines of support, right now we've got the 120-day simple moving average coming in at around $52,500 US dollars, nearly 53k. And by the way, the September correction pulled back the Bitcoin price straight into this exact moving average, where we found major support. Throughout the entire length of this correction so far, just about almost every single day, I have been comparing this correction to the September correction, just because of how similar they are. I won't go into all of the individual similarities in this video in detail, because I've been covering it on this channel for a few weeks now, and so a lot of the subscribers out there already had this price action in mind before it played out. Because once again, if you simply take a look at the outcome for the September correction, we came straight back down to the 120-day SMA, and now Bitcoin has just about done that. And if you're looking in the daily RSI, obviously we had that bearish divergence leading into the correction, just like September, and that has brought the daily RSI all the way down to these lower levels, close to oversold territories, but not there just yet. And keep in mind, all of these major market bottoms for Bitcoin back here have come in confluence with the RSI reaching this level of support on the daily time frame. So I'm talking about 34 on the daily RSI, and right now we're currently sitting at around 39, which is once again very close to this level of support. So technically we do have a little bit more room left to the downside, but honestly, according to a lot of these indicators and chart patterns playing out right now, Bitcoin doesn't have long to go before we get to a point where we see a major bounce. And speaking about major bounces, we've got this important Bitcoin chart that I talked about in the intro of this video. But before I can explain what this chart actually is and what it means for Bitcoin, I need to first talk about the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, because right now we are sitting in extreme fear. Historically speaking, when this indicator has dropped into extreme fear, that usually means it is a great buying opportunity. Of course, that's not financial advice. That's just telling you what this indicator means and what it's done for Bitcoin historically speaking. And if you want proof that this indicator works, simply scroll down and take a look at the historical values for this indicator, because as you can see right now, we've plunged into extreme fear at a value of 21. And the last time we did that for Bitcoin was back here at the end of September. And that is where this chart comes into play. This is simply the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index displayed on the Bitcoin chart, but only showing the times where we were in extreme fear. So of course, that's represented by these green zones just here. That was the times where this indicator was sitting in extreme fear. So this is all of the historical data for this indicator over the past 1 year. As you can see, we were in extreme fear towards the end of September. The time before that, it was between around the middle of May up until towards the end of July that we finally came out of extreme fear. And zooming out even further on this indicator, the time before that was back during 2020, more specifically around March and April 2020. So these green zones right here on the Bitcoin chart are all of the areas that once again we were sitting in extreme fear. So this can give you a very good perspective on what Bitcoin might be about to do. First of all, taking a look at March 2020, of course, Bitcoin had that huge crash around 50% in one day, and that came at a time where the stock market and just about everything else was crashing to the downside as well. And so of course that put us into extreme fear. But something interesting to mention is the fact that we entered into extreme fear around 3 3 days before we actually bottomed out, because once again, this is on the daily time frame. So even though we reached extreme fear on this indicator just here, it didn't necessarily mean that the bottom was in then and there, because we still played out one more move to the downside. But with that being said, even if you bought at the first moment that we flipped into extreme fear, you would have only had to hold for another 50 days to come back into profits. But really, the best strategy to take away from this indicator, at least so far, is simply to dollar cost average into this zone, because clearly if you bought Bitcoin anywhere in this zone, you would have done very well over the coming months. So that proved to be an amazing buying signal. And taking a look at the next time round, that was of course between May and July, and we saw a similar thing this time round. Once again, we hit extreme fear just before we actually bottomed out. But with that being said, simply dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin in this entire zone just here, when we were sitting in extreme fear, that proved to be an amazing buying opportunity. Once again, this is not financial advice. This is not my opinion. This is simply just sharing the facts and evidence that we have in front of us. Now going over to the next time that we hit into extreme fear, that was of course at the end of September. And once again, that proved to be an amazing buying opportunity, because really if you accumulated anywhere in that price zone, you would have done very well over the coming weeks. So to completely summarize this chart, just because we've hit extreme fear, it doesn't necessarily mean we're at the bottom. It doesn't confirm the bottom by itself. But historically speaking, it does mean that we are in a great buying opportunity, as we discovered all of these previous times just here. Now, it's also important to mention that just because something played out in the past, it doesn't guarantee anything's going to happen in the future. But in regards to my personal Bitcoin strategy, I am certainly dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin at the current values. I'm not going all in at any given price level, because once again, technically it is still possible that we could play out a little bit more bearish price action before then we bottom out at that stage. And so if that happens, I want to take advantage of that opportunity, which is exactly why I'm just dollar cost averaging into the market right now. Not to mention that the Bitcoin funding rates are looking bullish right now. Across the market, most funding rates are actually quite neutral, but we do have a lot of negative funding rates, especially on OKX and FTX. I've explained what these funding rates actually mean for Bitcoin in previous videos, but basically all you need to know is negative funding rates are bullish, and all of these other funding rates that are 0.01%, they're simply just neutral, so they don't really mean too much. So basically, the lower these funding rates go, the more bullish we get, and the closer Bitcoin is to a bottom. If you enjoyed this video or got something valuable out of it, make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. And don't forget to follow me over on my Twitter if you haven't already, because I give you these extra updates throughout the day in real time. And the link to my official Twitter account is in the description down below and also in the pinned comment. And before you click off, make sure you're checking out one of these uploads if you haven't already. I've got a trading tutorial video showing you how I trade Bitcoin over on Bybit, and I've got a passive income video showing you how I earn passive income every day in the crypto markets. But anyway, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.